Welcome back to Roughing It. We passed into Maryland.
Maryland welcomes you.
Through Baltimore.
Hello, Baltimore.
Along the Chesapeake Bay and over the Mason-Dixon line.
Mason and Dixon.
Across Delaware and New Jersey and into Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Virtually the first thing to greet us was the Scottish Memorial commemorating immigrants and their humans. Around the corner is possibly the most historic square mile of America's history. Independence Hall, the National Constitution Center, and a variety of historical sites are just a few places along the self-guided constitutional walking tour. A Revolutionary War camp gives the public a more tangible look at life during the time. Schuyler sided with the Patriots, but let's face it, Schuyler isn't picky and would have availed herself of some redcoat love too. Benedog Arnold. Benjamin Franklin coined the phrase, "A penny saved is a penny earned," which is why people throw pennies on his grave, though it causes ongoing damage to the site. Franklin's autobiography is a must-read for everyone, all ages and walks of life. It shows we are the beneficiaries of brilliance, and of irreconcilable hypocrisy. While America was founded on the principle of equality, as we've seen, slavery was a major factor in the birth of the nation. John Adams was one of the few founding fathers who wasn't a slave owner, but was against abolition because he felt it would destabilize the new country. And he was right, hence the Civil War. And so slavery has been a defining topic for the United States since the beginning. Philadelphia was the first capital of the nation. The Carpenter's Hall is the first site of the First Continental Congress. The Liberty Bell is a prominent symbol of American independence. No one actually knows when the bell was cracked or how, but a common theory was when the bell was delivered to Philadelphia in 1752. The architecture in the city is mixed, like the city's history. First, a Quaker colony, then the place where the Declaration of Independence was signed, and U.S. Constitution was invoked. Now, the city of brotherly love. The ruins of the first president's house are part of that history, and the site is still undergoing archaeological excavation. It's a long climb up the 72 steps to the Philadelphia Museum of Art, made famous by the film Rocky. Keep up your nourishment with the Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Totally worth the regret you'll feel afterwards. What better place is there to spend the nation's birthday than at the nation's birthplace? However, when I looked at the barricades and ramping police force and took in the pre-4th of July celebrations, I thought a slightly quieter place might suit us better. We headed out of town. Tip number 1, toll bridges. Google Maps has an option to avoid toll roads and bridges. However, that's not always how it works out. Plus, if you do find yourself on the toll bridge to Staten Island, for instance, where you didn't even want to go in the first place and you don't have cash, expect upwards of $60 to $100 in fines.
Toll road violations suck.
While Google Maps did let me down on occasion, I could not have done the trip without it. Not too long ago, I would have had to budget road maps into the trip.
To Ayers Village Road.
Here are my top 5 features of Google Maps. Add a stop is an enormously useful function on the road. Accessing the map offline is great when you're out of range, like on BLM land. Google gives parking information. Then once you've parked, you can add parking location. The Explore tab is also pretty handy on the road, as is the simple search function. All those long hours of driving can start to get tedious.
Tip number 2.
Audiobooks. Audiobooks are one way to pass the time. You can check them out from your local library using an app like Overdrive, or take out a subscription to Audible if it's in your budget. Since we had listened to Travels with Charlie by John Steinbeck on the way, and since he is the definitive source when it comes to road tripping with your dog, I figured we should go visit his home where he began and ended his own 11-week road trip. Sag Harbor. The internet got us into the vicinity, but Skylar got a local to cough up the actual address of Steinbeck's house. Pulitzer and Nobel Prize winner, National Book Award recipient, writer of American classics, Steinbeck would have wanted to meet Skylar. That is John Steinbeck's house. A little old-fashioned investigation never hurt anyone, and besides, his house sits on Morris Cove. Definitely a sign we should visit. Surely the current owners wouldn't mind. We passed a quieter 4th of July in Sag Harbor and explored the village and shops.
Stuffed dog. Looks like a dog, doesn't it?
Once a rough and tumble trading and whaling port, now an affluent enclave with the Bay Street Theater and replica windmill punctuating the town. Sag Harbor is very embraceable. Early residents called the place Sagaponack Harbor, later shortened. Between the centuries-old village, the boats knocking in their slips, and the deep connection to the arts and letters, it is a pleasant place to pass the time. All that's left of the whaling industry are a few old artifacts in the Whaling and Historical Museum, and a mention of Sag Harbor and 4 chapters of Moby Dick. The fishing boats and wharves have now been traded for yachts and yacht clubs. The landscape of the Hamptons and Long Island in general is very pretty.
This is the more rustic side of Sag Harbor and the Hamptons. There are woods and wildlife. Skylar is perplexed.
White sand beaches hem in lush woods stippled with colonial homes worth a fortune. What's not to like?
That's one way of reacting. We're in the East Hamptons. I've got a scarf on my head. I don't know why. It's kind of hot. I would totally live here. Tip number 3.
Take parking signs seriously. Many of the beach areas are permitted zones with vigorous parking enforcement. Other than that, enjoy.
Bye-bye, Sag Harbor. Guess where to next?